Today, we are taking a practical look at how to repair a Windows PC that no longer boots. Goal: when Windows no longer boots, the safest approach is to determine whether the failure is Windows, storage, firmware, or hardware before running repair commands. This guide starts with non-destructive checks, uses Windows recovery environment and startup repair first, explains BitLocker, and shows when a clean reinstall becomes reasonable. Disconnect non-essential USB devices and power cycle the PC once. Check whether the internal SSD is detected in UEFI BIOS. Open Windows recovery environment and run startup repair. If a recent update or driver caused the failure, use the relevant recovery option rather than wiping the system. Backup or recover important data before destructive operations. Use system file repair only in the correct environment and only after understanding the command. Expected result: either Windows boots again, or you identify a clearer failure category and can choose the next recovery step without risking data unnecessarily. The BitLocker recovery key if the system drive is encrypted. Official Windows recovery or installation media if built-in recovery is unavailable. A second computer or storage device if important files must be recovered first. The exact error message, stop code, or change that happened just before the failure. If the internal SSD does not appear in UEFI BIOS at all, Windows repair tools are unlikely to solve the problem. Stop repeated write attempts and investigate the drive, connection, controller, or motherboard. If the SSD is detected but Windows fails later, software recovery is more plausible. Windows recovery environment includes startup repair specifically for boot problems. Use troubleshoot advanced options, startup repair, before entering a long series of manual boot commands. It can address several common startup conditions without requiring you to guess which boot file is damaged. If the PC stopped booting immediately after an update, driver installation, or system change, Windows RE may offer options to uninstall and update, use System Restore, or change startup settings. Choose the option that matches the known change instead of deleting random drivers or partitions. The preserved commands below are intended for a Windows installation that is running normally enough to use an elevated terminal. They repair the active online Windows image and protected system files. Do not blindly paste them into Windows RE because offline repair uses different paths and parameters. Run in Windows terminal/command prompt as administrator only when Windows itself is running. Wait for each command to finish. A successful repair message is useful, but it does not prove that the SSD or RAM is healthy. If DISM cannot locate source files, follow Microsoft's DISM SFC documentation rather than adding random switches. There is no simple per-file undo for component repairs, which is why backups matter. Firmware, TPM, boot path, and recovery changes can trigger a BitLocker recovery prompt. There is no supported command that bypasses properly configured BitLocker encryption. Obtain the legitimate recovery key from the Microsoft account, organization directory, printout, USB copy, or other location where it was saved. A clean installation makes sense when recovery options fail, the data is backed up or no longer needed, and the storage device is considered healthy. It is not the right response if the SSD disappears from firmware or shows clear hardware failure symptoms. If you reinstall, add applications back gradually so you can detect whether a driver or program recreates the problem. Startup repair completes and Windows reaches the sign-in screen. The SSD remains consistently detected across restarts. No repeated disk or controller errors appear. After recovery, Windows Update and a normal restart complete successfully. Automatic repair keeps looping. Stop repeated cycles and use Windows RE advanced options or recover data before escalation. BitLocker key is requested. Retrieve the correct recovery key. Do not format the drive just to avoid the prompt. SSD is missing in setup and UEFI. Investigate hardware or controller detection first. Windows boots only in safe mode. Focus on startup software and drivers before reinstalling. Unusual drive noises or recurring I/O errors. Minimize writes and prioritize data recovery. Do not change UEFI storage mode, secure boot, or TPM settings at random. If hardware failure is suspected, additional repair attempts can reduce the chance of successful data recovery. No, reinstallation addresses software. A disappearing or physically failing drive requires hardware diagnosis. If the drive reports smart physical errors or disappears intermittently, prioritize data recovery and hardware service instead of repeated write-heavy repairs. SSD visible in UEFI. Important data backed up or recovery plan chosen. The key principle: a PC that does not boot is a diagnosis problem before it is a reinstall problem. For more details, read the complete article on the blog.